Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome one and all to another Crypto Maniacs podcast. And we got through a really good one on Tuesday. That was a lot of fun. But the last time we did a Q&A, it was like, yeah, it was just complete write-off because someone was dealing with, hurricanes and things like that. So we're here. And you're fully here.
Yeah, and it's amazing how prophecies come true. All those years, your mom, then probably your first wife, and even your second wife called you this name because of your lack of intellectual abilities. And it is now official, John G. Olson. Maybe they were lying before, but it's official. John G. Olson is now a space cadet.
I am a space cadet. Yes.
Last night,
yes,
he and the CTP team was on Twitter Spaces. Now,
yes, sir.
Before you go waste your time listening to the broadcast, most of it was John saying, I don't know how to work this. I'm new to this. So we had about 30 minutes of Blaine saying, John, it's not working. Blaine saying, John, where do we comment? I don't know. I'm looking. But to his credit, John got it working. So there is a new piece of arsenal for CTP. Yes. And hopefully in the future, they will utilize it. It seems to be a good platform. So congratulations, John, on expanding your horizons and making the women in your life correct after all these years.
That I am a total space cadet. Yeah, I mentioned it in yesterday's post. I was just saying like how entrepreneurs have a tendency, especially in my little side of the internet, the whole affiliate marketing world, they hold on to things. They don't really embrace. They wait for other people to go and stumble and fall before people start embracing things. They wait until it's.
Can I interrupt? Is there a reason why you just use the phrase stumble and fall? Is that subconscious? Was that dropping a hint to somebody?
Might have been. I cannot confirm nor deny the allegations. But yeah, dude, it was. Look, am I saying it's going to be the be all end all and it's going to be a platform we're going to use each and every day? No, it's not. It's just you got to try things. And
it's another tool.
I had people that I really respect. Obviously, the whole CTT guys love doing it. There's a whole bunch of people inside of Hive, but also my good friend Kevin Lee. He has been pushing, saying this is a great place to out there, and it worked. I mean, I got a couple new followers from. I had like 150 since. So it's good. It helps, and it's important to try things. And I think that's part of the entrepreneurial journey. And when I use that, I even consider people in crypto entrepreneurs to try things and get out there. Don't be afraid of buttons.
In my unprofessional view, because I'm not a huge tweetster, but for those with a big following on Twitter or a decent following on Twitter, I think what the nice thing about that is how you can start it and you get in your feed, John G. Olson joined Spaces or whatever. And basically it's like a live announcement. Hey, we're going live. Click on this and join us. And I think that's kind of a beneficial thing because when you do shit through Discord, when you do stuff on using Restream here, you got to go announce it. And right there, you get a Twitter announcement and anybody can click and it's easy to find. It's right there. So I think that's, it's like you said, it's one more tool in the arsenal. Is it something that's going to change the direction of CTP? No, but it's something that seems to be successful for audio, and it seems to be. I don't know. I think it's automatically packaged for you where anybody can replay it.
Yep. Yeah. It's when you record it, it stays there until Twitter deems it unvaluable anymore, right? And they take it off. But
now, you can't download it.
No, you can't download it. That's what I was going to do. I was going to download it and make it an MP3 and kind of upload it somewhere, but. I'm sure there's ways you can do it, but they don't give you download your audio file thing because they want to keep that, right? But it's interesting. It's interesting, and it's a real big case study before we get into people's questions, because lots of good questions this week, guys. Thanks for showing up again. It's a really good case study on the new trends in social media. This is considered social audio, but Twitter Spaces was not the first to the block. It was actually Clubhouse, and I
Is
don't
that
know
about dead?
I don't even know. See, that's the funny thing, is that I signed up, I downloaded the app on my phone, I used it maybe twice and didn't give it another peace of mind. Like I didn't. It was whatever to me. But
Who
people
was
are.
behind Clubhouse? Do you know?
It's some company owns it. It's I
Oh,
couldn't tell you, but it's not like you would know it if you heard it.
it's not like Facebook or something.
No, it's a holding company, but it's also the same thing that happened with not necessarily the TikTok, but the I forget the name of it. But once they did that, the stories, right? Like it was the Instagram. As soon as Instagram gave the ability to give little clips, everyone started doing it. So social media is not necessarily the most innovative thing, which is why I think Web3 is so important. Because if you look at the social media landscape, there's nothing new under the sun there. Now they're just regurgitating ideas.
That's
and
not true. There's Elon. The news of the week. Elon now is again buying Twitter.
Is that why Hive is pumping right now? Like, is that the reason?
I thought, quite honestly, it was because of my post this morning about the correlation between Hive and HBD, but
Perfect.
It could be Elon too. Those are
think it's
probably
you.
two good guesses.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I have a feeling Elon's bags are a little light in Hive, if I had to guess. I don't know his wallet's.
Hey, if he wants to go and send it to the moon, I'm fine with that. We'll just fork and create a new blockchain, right? It's fine. Just, we'll all be rich from it, and that's fine. That's cool. Anyways.
Yeah.
I digress. We are here. It is CryptoManiacs, and we'll get into your questions. Of course, I'm feeling a little under the weather right now because I should be in Las Vegas, watching everybody on Twitter, going to Vegas and showing up at Vegas, getting ready for Splinterfest, and I'm sitting here playing the damn game instead of being there with everybody. I'm very annoyed at your country task. America, get with it. Get rid of the stupid border restrictions, and that'd be great. Thanks.
Hey, don't blame me. I don't vote, so.
Yeah.
I have no fault in this mess with what's in office. I didn't have any fault with what the mess that was in office previously either, so I can't be blamed for either.
There you go.
Perfect. I abstain.
He's pleading the fifth. What's on your mind was the question, and it was good because Task was back, so we can get into everyone's questions instead of us trying to get through it as quickly as possible last week. So Task was there, but now he's here full time. He's here with full internet, and we're good to go. Let's dive into your questions. First is up, DevPress. What's your opinion on quality art turned in NFTs? Do you think there is a demand for such? Because most of the NFTs we see is nothing but garbage ape images and the useless assets. What's your opinion on NFTs? you want to go buy a Bored Ape?
I would say it depends on the following. I mean, if you're an artist, and a painter, let's say, or whatever, and you create quality stuff, and you can market yourself and get yourself a decent following, and you could take the same thing with songs, jingles, whatever you want, and apply the same concept. I think then you have an NFT that has value, because once again, you're focusing on the community that you have supports you. They like your work, and they want to help you, and they prize what you have. So if you have an NFT to one of your top paintings, that would probably have some value. But if I'm a super painter and I can create wonderful artwork, but I have no following, I have nobody who gives a crap about my stuff, nobody even knows about my stuff, and I say, oh, okay, I'm going to create an NFT and hope it sells for $5,000. Well, who the hell is going to support me? What we were just talking about with social media, before we got on air, we were talking about affiliate marketing. It all comes down to that. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're an artist, if you're a content creator, it doesn't matter. You got to look at this as a business. You have to sell yourself. You have to sell your brand. You have to get a following. And again, it doesn't matter whether you're writing articles, whether you're trying to do pass yourself off as an expert in whatever field. If you're creating music, creating drawings, creating paintings, um, you have
Yeah.
to establish that value in the minds of people. And you do that by engagement. You do that by consistency. You do that by showing your wares and getting a following. And if you're a painter, again, just using an example, I'm going to guess if you have, 500 to 1,000 people who truly appreciate your work, and you take your paintings and turn them into NFTs, and you have that rarity scarcity aspect, then I think you could have something that could be fairly valuable, and you would be able to sell the NFT for a decent amount.
Yeah.
But again, if you have nobody who follows you and thinks thinks your stuff is great, it's the old, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, doesn't make a sound. I mean, if you do this great painting and create a great NFT to it, if nobody likes your work or knows about your work, what good is it? That's my view.
Yeah, I mean, for the artist stuff, I've purchased a few. I mean, mostly from Hive-based stuff. I haven't really gone into the OpenSea. The only real NFT I'm going to buy now on OpenSea is going to be Rooney from Splinterlands. But this goes into my point is that the art's cool. I'm a big fan of the art of Splinterlands, but beyond that, I much rather that it's got use case and I can use this NFT. So that's where NFTs to me play a part. Now I know that's not really the question because it's more about quality art turned into NFTs, but to me the art on Splinterlands is great. I love the art. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great, wonderful, but more importantly to me, it's got the use case. So that's my opinion. But thank you for the question, Dev. Appreciate that. My Path to Fire, who is in the audience right now, he wants to know, what do you think is the next, but talking about NFTs, what do you think is the next big thing in the NFT space? What could it be? Has Task opinion on the end of the bear market changed?
Which part do you want first? I mean, we kind of just answered the NFT. I mean, I don't know where it's going. I mean, we just focused on art. I think NFTs have a tremendous future. I don't think we've really experimented with them enough. The first wave was, as the last questioner asked, Dev Press, most of it was tied to garbage art or tied to stuff on the line and no utility and stuff like that. So I think there's a tremendous... NFTs are tremendous value for ownership. I just don't think we've experimented it with enough as an industry to really know where it's going. But I think there will be the ownership reward type realm, but I can't really put a finger on what is going to be the big thing. As for the bear market, no, it hasn't changed. I mean, I'm thoroughly convinced my theory is correct. And it's not such a difficult theory because it's like, it just makes sense. Watch the Fed. The Fed will pivot at some point. The problem is when the hell will the Fed pivot? No idea. And I think everything's going to respond to that. That's where all eyes appear to be. Will that be in this quarter? Will it be first quarter of next year? Will it be second quarter of next year? That's up in the air. And so we just have to keep watching. I mean, keep watching the other economic variables and metrics, but keep an eye on unemployment and the PCE because that's what the Fed's watching. And if those are still at levels that they find acceptable or unacceptable, the PCE is too high and the labor market showing strength, they're just going to keep on the same path. And I think that keeps pushing these risk-off assets further down. I did buy, just an FYI, I did pick up a little bit more Tesla this morning because that's been beaten down, and I might be too early in the game. I didn't go all in, but I bought a few more shares to add to my long-term holding. So, but again, I'm fully aware I might be early.
So you're not buying, like, it's a different company, right? Like SpaceX would be different than Tesla, even though it's the same thing, like same owner.
Yeah, Tesla is a publicly traded company. SpaceX is a privately held company. Tesla is, has its Tesla assets, which is vehicle production, battery production, solar,
Yeah.
and SpaceX builds rockets, and
and
that's
and gives me amazing internet. Just
and
saying.
Starlink is also under SpaceX. That's a
Mm.
SpaceX brand. So you're paying each month. I guess you pay Starlink, but
Yeah.
that's held by SpaceX. So that revenue is going to SpaceX, not to Tesla. And Neuralink's a separate they're all separate companies.
Fantastic product, by the way. I'm a big fan of
I would
Starlink.
expect,
Yeah.
just if we're going down this road, I would expect probably, depending on the rollout of Starlink, expect Starlink to be rolled out of SpaceX and brought public on its own. So
Mm.
I think at some point you're going to be able to buy stock in Starlink.
Perfect. Fiber Frau is up. Good to see her. She said, as my crypto grows, I'm wondering if just making sure one of my kids has my keys is enough. Still not a lot of money, but if crypto goes to the moon and then I'm hit by a bus, I want to make sure somebody I love gets whatever I have. Thoughts? This is what I do.
Well, do
Personally.
you love me?
Yeah, I know.
I'll
You
be
could,
more
yeah,
than happy to
definitely.
take your keys. I mean, I'm a lovable guy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You can get Task is willing to be your account holder if you need custody of it. Yeah, so what I do, and it's funny because this is such a big, like, crypto is so new for people, and a lot of times, you know, the average person, if they lost their password, they just click on retrieve password. And I sat my wife down and explained to her everything. And she's like, like it was 20 minutes of her going, well, where's the retrieve password? There is none. Well, how do you get your password? If you lose it, you're done. Like it was it was a hard conversation to have, but we did sit down and I've gone over it a few times with her. But what I've done is I have all of my account keys. I have them printed out. I have it laminated and I have it in a safe for her. So she knows every single one of my passwords, and if I change them, I have to remember and edit it. But she has all of my account keys in the safe. She knows where it is. Does she know how to access everything? We're working on that. that's a work in progress because again, it's not as easy as retrieve password. But that's what I did personally. I have all of my account keys printed, laminated, put into safe, and she knows that if anything happens, she can access it that way. So that's what I do.
Yeah, and I think two things that come into play with that is, number one, maybe as the education curve of crypto in general increases, then those people will end up moving into the realm of understanding.
Right.
Or number two, at least if she has it, she can go and find somebody who has the understanding and say, okay, how do I do this? And contact Blaine, contact me, contact somebody, and then
Right.
we can walk her through it and say, okay, this is what you do, and this is the key you need, and that type of stuff. And I mean, that's yeah. For me, I don't. I mean, if I get hit by a bus, all my stuff's gone. I mean, I have it's stuff written down, but again, who's going to know how to access it? And if I gave it to
Right.
my dad, he'd be like, "What the hell is this?" So my daughter, she's not. She's into crypto, but she buys it on exchanges. I mean, it's just one of those things where, without family members who understand and are heavily involved, it's it's a difficulty.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. That's that's a really good point you made about once the learning curve and more people learn this stuff and it becomes more um understandable and accessible to everyday people, that'll be a lot easier conversation to have with family. But for now, it's a lot of it was just training my wife and trying to teach her what keychain is. So, it's a tough one, that's for sure. um Jimmy's up with the fork coming up real soon, which is in 4 days from now. Jeez. What do each of you look forward to the most? Personally, for me, I mean, the resource credit delegation is going to be great for CTP. because we onboard a lot of people, but it's usually the John G. Olson account that gets all the that has to get all the account keys for everyone and send out the information for people. And it's I just I am looking forward to the delegation. That would be cool. That's my preferred thing I'm looking forward to.
I mean, as a user, that's about all you can look forward to because that's about all there is for the users. I think this. I'm just more of a generalist because I think at this point, and I understand what people say, the best technology doesn't always win, but I do believe at this point it is still a technology race, and this is a big move forward from a technological angle in terms of the scaling and the abilities of the blockchain. The fact that they compressed the blockchain from, I think, he even admitted he didn't know if his numbers were right, but from like 700 gigabytes to 350 gigabytes. The fact that each block will be um, validated, and then when it's sent out to by the block producer, then when it's sent out to all the other block producers, to all the other witnesses, that will already be condensed data. It'll all be condensed down.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so when you start looking at that one block irreversibility, I mean, from a financial aspect, not that this really matters that much, but if you think about it, as of when this goes live, one block irreversibility will give Hive the fastest financial settlements in the world. In the world, nothing will beat it. It's like 3.3 and some milliseconds settlement time, not transaction time, full blown settlement. You know, you try to send something overseas, what's the settlement time? 2.5 weeks.
Yeah,
Even the United States, if I give a check to somebody and they deposit it, what's it take to settle? 3-4 days. This will be 3 point something seconds, and that's absolutely unheard of. But again, do most people care? Probably not. But if you are a merchant, if you are that, even when you use Visa swipes it through and they approve it, and okay, you can go ahead with the purchase as a merchant. But that is not settled till the payment's actually made 30 days later by
right,
the individual holder. So it's just Visa actually loaning the money out is what they're essentially doing. And so I think that's very important. And we will try to get, and I'm sure we'll be successful. We'll try to get block trades on in coming weeks after the hard fork. And then what the exciting part is what's next, because it's a continual process. The other thing that I'll add, which is not really part of the hard fork, and I don't know technically how it feeds in because I'm just not a developer, but let's not underestimate Half. That's been talked about a long time. Hive application framework supposedly is going live at the same time. It's not part of the hard fork, but it's part of Hive's evolution. And it'll be very interesting where that fits in and how much that benefits developers on Hive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I know Blaine is excited about that because that lets him play around even more with it. So that's exciting. It's exciting. Like a lot. This is the thing about this hard fork. It's not necessarily the users are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever." It's much more back end stuff, and that's good because if you lay the foundation for that, good things happen on a development level, and makes it easier for us, peons to be able to use the blockchain, which is again use case again. Heaven forbid we talk about use case. Anyways, thank you for the question, Jimmy. Hope you're doing good, man. Lisa is up. She's in the audience too. She wants to know. This is in regard to the new feature of delegating resource credits. Oh, there we go. After the hard fork, when we do that, how will it impact our voting mana? Will it be the same as delegating Hive power? And the next question is hilarious. What's poor Kim Kardashian going to do now that she can't shill crypto anymore? Yeah, we got to feel sorry for Kim because, geez, what's she going to do?
She'll go shopping for a new purse or something.
Yeah. It
I'm
was,
sure she'll find something to fill her time with.
can, can I make a joke? This has got nothing to do with crypto,
Sure.
but can I make a joke? Did you? Sorry, guys, and I know everyone's like, "What are you talking? You're about to talk sports, aren't you?" Yeah. Did you watch? You didn't watch Thursday Night Football last night, did you?
No.
No. Well, there was the end of the game. Russell Wilson, Denver Broncos. They're basically like on the 4th and 1, like right at the goal line almost. And instead of doing a simple run, he decided to throw it. He threw it to a covered receiver in the end zone, but there was one of his players that was completely open. Right,
Yeah.
so completely open, like Russell totally missed it. And it was the funniest thing. I'm listening to like post game, and one of my favorite sports commentators, he bets a lot, so he gets really like pissed off. He's like, this guy was more open than Kim Kardashian at an NBA party. Like, I was dying, man. I was just dying. It was just the funniest thing. He was so mad. Anyways, nothing to do with crypto, but she brought up Kim Kardashian.
And now with that imagery, John is going to hire somebody to turn that into a painting, and he will NFT
it.
his
Yeah.
version of Kim Kardashian at an NBA party being open.
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck?
Sorry for this is a PG-13 show, guys.
What was the question?
Yeah, what was the question other than poor Kim? No, in regards to the new features of
the RC delegation.
Yeah.
No, that won't affect your voting power because your voting power is based on high power, and that's the thing is you can delegate resource credits now and allow people access to their blockchain to post content, comments, blogs, or upvote. But you retain your high power, so hence you retain your voting power. The person will have the resource credits to interact, but they won't have any high power to vote with. So that's where the big difference comes into play. Now, also keep in mind the resource credit schedule is being totally adjusted, and it's real interesting to see how this will affect Splinterlands players, because many of them probably will have to add more high power or get more resource credits one way or another, simply because the custom JSONs, from what Block Trade said at HighFest, are vastly undercharged. So they will go up in price. So, every time you do a custom JSON activity, it's going to require more resource credits. Yeah. From what I got a sense of, they were pretty accurate with the blog posts, the comments, and the upvoting. So they may not be too affected. But those playing a lot with Splinterlands, they may have to increase it, and especially the bots, they may have to increase their resource credits to keep going.
The bots will suffer the most. No. That's a whole other conversation. But thanks for the question, Lisa. Appreciate it. Tokenized Society. Hello, Maniacs. What kind of communities would you like to see on Hive? I think I remember Task once said there's a lot of potential for communities of fans of one particular sports team, and I agree with that. I also think that bands and artists are good niches. What else? Well, I mean, sports fans is just like the no-brainer of no-brainer.
Yeah.
In my case, the Buffalo Bills fandom is called Bills Mafia. There's no reason why Bills Mafia can't have a very strong presence on Hive. That's, supporters of Manchester United, lots of footy fans out there that will, especially with World Cup coming up in the next month, this is going to be potential for people to take the bull by the horns and cater to these fan bases. So... But what else? What else? I mean, I think music artists is great. I think the artist, which is really unique, is that musical artists can kind of tie into that NFT thing. Artists are in a unique position because they have built a following. They have a community, a tribe behind them already, fans of their music. They can create NFTs for, special events, access, giveaways, whatever. But then they can tie it into a community and really breed a community and grow a community on Hive. I think a lot easier than in other places because you're plugging in to what's already here. But I don't know what else. What are some other?
Well, I mean, we were talking about it. It's funny we had the question on air because you were talking about it. I mean, And I'm going to reveal, John is starting the Kim Kardashian community on Hive.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
After his latest episode, it may have to be non-safe for work community, but
Dude, it was
John,
it was a
John
joke on just
has
the
his
team.
fandom. No, sports is a no-brainer, as you said. I suggested to Cal because Leo Finance has its communities feature built in. There needs to be a Tesla community. I think you get into the stuff you're not supposed to mention in bars. You get your sports, your religion, your politics. Those are wonderful communities, and people tend to be very passionate about them. And then people tend to troll each other. So that could create, well, we could use a Facebook philosophy and say, okay, it creates excitement, which will keep people engaged. How do
Right.
you get, you know, 25,000 comments in a day, put a bunch of right wing radicals with a bunch of left wing radicals and put them in the same forum and let them go. Um,
Like it.
Again,
Let's
that
do it.
probably would not qualify as PG-13 and might be not safe for work also. But,
Yeah.
I think when you look at hobbies, uh, look at where people are passionate. I mean, they may not be the biggest communities in the world, but look at like flower arranging. Look at gardening. Look at restoring old automobiles. I mean, you start to get all these different areas of interest and hobbies and what people are involved in, and YMCA and Little League and PTA and how about colleges? Not only sports, but your alma mater. Hey, Florida State or University of Toronto or Michigan State or whatever. You get all these different areas where there's a connection between people. Then you
Mm.
get, I mean, we have STEM, but that could even break down to trades and different professions, your engineering community, your math community. You can have, again, auto mechanics. You can, all different types of things. There's people, you got photography, but there's people only take photography of lighthouses or of bridges and things of that nature. So, I mean, really, you start to look at books. Stephen King. I mean, Stephen King has a huge following. James
Mm.
Patterson. Um, who's the one who Jackie Collins? I know she's dead, but big fan base of her books and her works. You got TV shows that even go back years, the Cosby Show or the '70s show. Game of Thrones, movies, Star Wars, Star Trek. I mean, it just goes on and on, where there's a uniting something that unites people around an interest. Anything that has that can have a community. Men's groups, women's groups, ex drug addicts groups, recovering druggies or recovering alcoholics or recovering gamblers or whatever. Monopoly, Candyland, games, tic tac toe, whatever you like. Uh, you just go on and on about what people have an interest in. If somebody has an interest in, odds are more people do.
Yeah.
That's a community potentially.
There's a really good book, and Lisa said Law and Order. Absolutely. There's a really good book that I read um, years ago. It was by Chris Anderson. It was called The Long Tail, and that's what it talked about. It talked about marketing and advertising in the current day is not this broad swoop. It's not this huge, massive trying to capture everyone. What it is individual communities, individual passion groups. Because just like you said, if one or two people like it, guaranteed there's more people that like it. So the long tail was to cater to the unique, specific groups rather than trying to cater to everyone. And
Well, if I could
that
jump
will
in,
work
the
here.
long
Yeah.
tail and where it's very important, and it ties into this. The best example of the long tail that I have ever seen was associated with Amazon.
Mhm.
Because you go to a Barnes and Noble, you go to a physical bookstore, there may be, and I forget the number, it was start with a five, either 5,000 or 50,000 titles in a store. I think it was
Right.
50,000 titles is what they can realistically fit
physically put in a store, right?
in a store.
Yeah.
So obviously, to get shelf space in a Barnes and Noble or any of these other old time bookstores, they wanted the best selling books. They wanted the hits. They wanted the mostly the hits, or they would focus upon a specific maybe niche like paranormal or something that there were people who were interested in, maybe in that local area, who had an interest in that niche. Now Amazon comes along, and the shelf space is just another basically web page added to their site. So now Amazon has millions of titles. And
Yep.
even though the titles at the long end of the curve only sell maybe 1 or 2 books a month, maybe even 1 or 2 books a year, that's 1 or 2 sales that Amazon is catching that a Barnes and Noble totally ignores because they couldn't have it in the shelf space. And it's the same thing with the communities. Hive, yes, it would be great to have Real Madrid, Manchester United, the Dallas Cowboys, New York Yankees, Los Angeles Lakers, the big teams that have millions and millions of fans. But you know what? What happens if we get hundreds of thousands of different communities? Some of them just the the Red Raider High School PTA that has 20 members in it or something like that, or the Applegate, Wisconsin Historical Society that has 15 members in it. These are things where if you just look at getting to millions of people, if you have hundreds of thousands of communities, and this is the long tail, what John was talking about, we don't necessarily have to attract the Buffalo Bills Mafia, because it is huge, it's big, they have places to go. Could we attract them to Hive? It would take a lot of work. But you get the what did I say, Apple Grove, Wisconsin Historical Society. They probably don't have very much.
Is that a real thing?
I don't fucking know, but who cares? The point is, it's an analogy, John.
I know, but I mean, if I'm going to Google that and I find it, I'm like, dude, you're the card-carrying member of it. The president.
I could say Crabapple Cove. Crabapple. Do you know who was from Crabapple Cove?
Dude, I didn't even know there was such thing as a Crabapple Cove. But
Crabapple Cove, Maine. Who is from Crabapple Cove?
Oh,
Maine?
That's got to be like Stephen King or something, right?
No, it's a fictional place. What character in the audience? Come on,
Humperdinck. I don't know. Ichabod Crane. I don't know who is that.
Dr. Pierce from MASH.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Wow.
But anyway, what I was saying is, other than Facebook, and these people may be on Facebook, they really don't have too many options where to go. So that's kind of what John was talking about with the long tail. Maybe we can take these people and bring them over to Hive if we set up the front ends, if we have the way to get the communities going. And like he said, then you start to tie into, and this is what I've been hammering the CTT guys about, and why we need smart contract platforms and things like that. Because if you have breakaway communities that can tokenize not only fungible tokens, but as John was saying, NFTs, now all of a sudden you have somebody like Raven, who was on here a while back. She has a following, both on Hive and off Hive. Maybe she can tie her token in, maybe she can tie her NFTs in, and it's all tied to her community, and it's all in one nice package. That's very powerful, and that's something you're not going to find on Facebook. It's something you don't even see in crypto right now, because Raven's kind of doing that, but she's having to go to 3 or 4 different places. She's doing, her NFTs maybe on Wax or, OpenSea or wherever she's doing her NFTs. Then she's got her token on Hive Engine. Then she's posting on Hive, and you get all this together where it goes through StreetSpeak, and there's where her music is, and her community hosts her music. Now you're talking incredible potential. And there's probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Ravens out there.
Absolutely. And they all have fan bases. Might not be millions of people, but you don't need millions of people.
I give Lisa credit. She was in the right area with Murder, She Wrote on Crabapple Cove. I can't say that easily. Crabapple Cove.
Thank you for the question,
Hawkeye
Token.
Pierce.
Appreciate it.
So there was really 100 hive reward for that, but since nobody got it, I get to keep the 100 hive.
You
But
get to keep it.
I
Powered up.
sold some hive during the pump today. If anybody didn't notice, hive's pumping, so it was at 65 cents. Now it'll go, since I sold some hive, it'll go to $9.
Of course, yeah, perfect. Jay Latour, good friend of mine, is up. He's got our last question of the week. He says, "What do you think will happen when all the Bitcoin is mined?" So, first of all, that's not going to happen for like 150 years or something.
Who cares? We'll all be dead. It's like
we're all going to be dead
when it happens.
So, it's close. Yeah, it's 19 million. Will the price per coin increase big time? What happens to the mining transactions? I really don't want to wait till the year 2140 to find out. I need answers now. I don't know. Bitcoin. I don't like Bitcoin. I'm sorry. I'm not a Bitcoin guy at all anymore. I mean, it's whatever. Bitcoin is just a store of value. People will swear by it. The maxis will swear by it, and it's the future of money, this, that, and the third. I mean, it's decade-old technology that hasn't really changed. Will the price of it go up? Yeah, because it's got the granddaddy feature, man. It's the king. It's the king of it's the brand of crypto. So the price will go up, probably when everything's getting closer to being mined fully. But again, that's 100 years from now plus, so we won't be around. But I don't know, man. I don't really. This sounds bad. I don't care about Bitcoin these days. I don't pay attention to the price. It doesn't do anything for my life. I guess when things pump in Bitcoin, it's good for the markets. But you saw Bitcoin go down today, and Hive went up. I don't know.
I think we can probably, if it's not me and it's not Elon, then we'll have to go to the third choice. It's probably the Koreans.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Koreans don't pump. Evidently, don't pump Bitcoin.
Did you check Upbit? Was Upbit all the volume? Probably.
I would presume. I didn't look. Anytime I see Hive moving, it's like, well, who else could it be? I mean, they have the capability to do it. But yeah, I mean, I think the bigger question is, which does John detest more, Ethereum or Bitcoin? Because I think Ethereum was in the lead. This is how I read it. Ethereum was in the lead and it jumped out early. But I'm getting a sense that John is just getting a little bit frustrated with all the Bitcoin stuff. And Bitcoin may be closing the gap a little bit.
It's not the project. The project is whatever. It's the granddaddy we all owe ourselves to. Yes, sure. It's the maxis that ruin it. The maximalist.
Well, but there's Ethereum maxis who are just as
bad as Ethereum. Yes, absolutely. That's the maximalist attitude. And I mean, a lot of people say, "Well, John, you're a Hive maxi. What are you talking about?" But within Hive,
that's okay. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. I'm right. You're wrong. Listen, it's like a religious debate, right? There's a lot more use cases on Hive because there's more different projects. Like Ethereum, yeah, there's tons of other projects. I understand the argument for Ethereum. It's a banker's coin. I think it's about as user friendly again as stabbing your toe. It's not fun to use at all. I hate it. I tried to withdraw some Ethereum from Torum the other day, and just trying to link wallets, and it's just a complete mess. It's an utter disaster. So it's not that I'm against any certain crypto, except for Tron. It's just I don't use it every day. And when you don't use something, the only possible thing it can be for is store of value. I just don't use it. I don't use Ethereum. I don't use any of the block. Look what happened to BNB today. They had to halt the chain. They halted a blockchain, folks.
Well, I mean, I think it was safe to say everybody, if you didn't know BNB, that BSC was centralized, you had a screw loose. I mean, that was one of the most, I mean, anybody who bought into the fact that CZ wasn't running that chain, if you bought that, I mean, I got a bridge in Tacoma to sell you. I'm not even going to sell you the one in Brooklyn.
Dude, I don't know. It's all a lie. It's all a lie about people want decentralization. It's all a lie. They want green candles. That's all they want. That's all they want in crypto is green candles. They don't give a rat's behind. Now, there's a core group of people, mostly on Hive, that do care about decentralization and do care about this Web3 stuff. But at the end of the day, people want green candles. That's what they want. Look at all the tweets about Hive today. Why? Because it pumped. So everyone's tweeting about it. Most people that you don't see really talking about Hive are all talking about Hive all of a sudden. Why? Because there's a green candle. That's it.
And I haven't followed it closely, but I'm gonna hypothesize. They call me Dan and Three Speak. They were out tweeting today, and they didn't talk about the high pump.
Probably didn't touch the price. No, they were talking about Web3, true decentral, and use case. That's what they were talking about, because that's what matters to people that actually care about this decentralization stuff.
So in other words, the price of high pumps and those two are talking about the same thing they've been talking about for 2 or 3 years.
Exactly. That's the telltale sign. And that's why I laugh when I hear all these influencers talk about Web3, when I see these blowhard critics talking about the best play to earn games and they have Splinterlands at the bottom. Like, I laugh at all this stuff because all they really care about is green candles. They do not care at all about true decentralization. They do not care about Web3. They do not care about owning your own stuff. They don't care about banking yourself. They don't care about all the stuff that this crypto was supposed to represent. They don't care. They care about green candles. So that's my rant. I got a rant in. It's pretty good. And we weren't even done with poor Jay's question. Jay just wanted to know, will the price of the coin increase?
No, you mentioned Bitcoin and you said John G. Olson off.
Oh, you just
now the CryptoManiac no touch zone is Ethereum and Bitcoin.
I'm not
and Tron. He even said Tron, so Tron's in there.
I'm
so
not
with it by the end of the year, we might get a fourth. I don't know, John. How do you feel about EOS? How do you feel about
dude? EOS, like, does that even exist? Like, what was it? 54th most popular token now on the market, like, even though this was like a top 5 token this time last year.
Well, don't forget also, in fairness to when EOS came out, there's been a lot of other tokens introduced, so you didn't have a lot of the stable coins and a lot of the shit like BUSD wasn't out, and that's now, I presume, a top 10, or was, now that BSC
Ripple has stayed the course. XRP is still there. Still up
XRP
there.
still there, and surprisingly, XRP may beat the SEC,
which is hilarious.
I mean, come on! If the SEC can't win against Ripple, which is the most centralized of anything in this realm, I mean, if there's an entity that's nailed to the wall, you got a company behind it, you have a pure security in the traditional sense, and if they lose this case, which they might, it's a total laugher. But anyway, going back to the Bitcoin question, yes, I'm with John. Who gives a shit? We're going to be dead. I'm not going to be around in 2040. John's not going to be around in 2040. And that's 118 years away. I don't think anybody listening to this broadcast is going to be around in 2140. Obviously, you have halvings going on every 4 years. So the inflation does decrease. And this is a problem with Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin maxis talk about the 21 million cap. This is the lie Bitcoin maxis sell. There's a number of them. The first lie was that Bitcoin's ahead of against inflation, and that you want Bitcoin because fiat's going to die, the US dollar is going to die. Well, we've had 50-year highs in the CPI, and guess what? Bitcoin crashes. That's a lie. People sold a bunch of shit on Bitcoin. The second thing is the dollar just keeps getting stronger. It doesn't get weaker for reasons I've talked about on this show and on my channel. So follow there if you want to know about that. Now we get the other situation is that, Bitcoin is this solid money. It's this fixed money. It's it doesn't have the inflation. It's like, well, wait a second, dude. Since the beginning, the only reason why Bitcoin's been mined and why these people are running the damn network is because they're paid out of inflation. to sit there and overlook and talk about inflation with other tokens and, oh, well, we're Bitcoin. We don't have that because we have a cap of 21 million. It's like, wait a second.
Right.
For 10 years, you've been distributing new tokens and incentivizing people to mine this chain. And so what's going to happen? And again, the CTT guys talk about this all the time. Without incentive, most people don't do shit. There's some people who may do it for some type of altruistic reason or some type of value system or some type of campaign because they believe in a cause. But most people, I guarantee you, if these miners were not being paid out of inflation, all these mining pools would close up shop. You might have a few people who would still mine, but very few of them would. So if you are not going to incentivize them out of inflation, how the hell do you incentivize them if there's no inflation? You have to do it out of transaction fees. That means people have to pay to transact on the chain. And I don't know what type of money it's going to take to get there, but you understand that Bitcoin has not improved its transactions per second since it was released. It's what is it, 8 or 10 transactions per second?
Yeah.
So, and you have a block, every 10 minutes? So how much does each miner need to, and we can't guess because by 2100, I mean, maybe a mining ring costs $5 million or maybe a mining ring costs $5.99. I don't know. But how much do these transaction costs have to be to incentivize these miners without inflation? And that's very, very difficult to predict. It's so far down the road, we don't care. There's halvings coming up. Halvings it's every 4 years. So for the next decade, there probably will be a good chance that the halvings excite people and there's pumps. And over time, the price of Bitcoin will go up. There's the Michael Saylors of the world and people like that picking up Bitcoin. And so I don't know. I'm with John. The technology is very uninteresting. The simple fact that people think they're building on Bitcoin, Jack Dorsey believes he's going to. I don't think he's going to be successful. So what are you going to build on Bitcoin? Nothing. I mean, you build the Lightning Network, but that's not built on Bitcoin. That's a totally separate system. So it does tie into Bitcoin. That's great. But, they're just using Bitcoin as the payment mechanism, the currency for Lightning Network, which is its own standalone network. I just don't, you don't have social media capabilities. You don't really have, you might have some collateralization, maybe. You don't have NFT capabilities. You can't smart contract it. I just, store of value. Yeah. I mean, if everybody agrees, and I do buy into the Bitcoin because of generation shifts. Boomers are gold bugs. Millennials tend to be more Bitcoiners. Okay. So we could see to a degree, and I don't know what degree, Bitcoin replacing gold as the store of value for people. Kind of makes sense, especially if we get, and I'll say the word, into the metaverse. As we move into that, as the digital world expands, we get the spatial web, all this other stuff. Little yellow pieces of metal as a store of value kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So maybe Bitcoin could serve that role. But I'm with John. The idea that Bitcoin is going to be the currency, the future of money, because it's fixed money. Well, fixed money always pulls. Fixed money always creates inequality, and it's impossible to have growth without fixed money because you end up crashing the price of everything. Because for one person to get ahead and one sector of the economy to gain and expand, you have to collapse another sector. I mean, that's how fixed money works. So, I think it comes back to utility, like John says. I mean, we are advocates on this show of utility because look at what's going on in the bear market. Shit that has nothing going for it and no use case. What's happening?
Disappearing.
It's disappearing.
Poo-pooing.
like John always says, why does he? And being a Hive Max is an unfair accusation against John, to be honest with you. But why is he so on Hive? Because in his mind, he says, I can use this stuff. I use it every day. I use my high power for voting. I use my resource credits to access the chain. I use the stuff. I use my HBD to generate more HBD and give me an ROI. I use my stuff in diesel pools. I provide liquidity so I get a return. These are use cases. Most of the top 1,000 tokens you get probably past number 50. And I know Hive's like at 170 or something, but you get past 50, what the hell's the use case for? I mean, maybe there's some stuff in there, but I don't know what it is.
Guys, what a show. Thank you for all your questions. I got a rant in, even Task, not really a rant. That was just, passion. And that's good. That's what we like here. Thank you guys for coming out.
Well, we do have one more question. Why are transaction costs still so expensive on Ethereum now that it's POS? The switch over was not going to take care of the transaction costs. That was switching the way the consensus mechanism is. They have other updates, who knows when they'll be out, that they say will address the transaction costs. So that was another thing that the anti-Ethereum people were saying. It's like, well, you're doing this major conversion, but you're not even going to address the transaction costs, which that's what everybody was really bitch. That's what people bitch about, at least in crypto. Most people in crypto weren't sitting there bitching about the proof of stake and the energy use. It's like, well, the fees are too high. Like John, I got $5 in some coin that was airdropped to me, and I can't get my $5 because I got to spend $52 in transaction fees. That's the problem with Ethereum, and that wasn't addressed. So we'll have to see. They claim there's something else there, and Ethereum's time schedule, come back in 2 or 3 years and maybe they'll address it. Who knows?
I just work here.
Tuesday we got Brian of London. Maybe he'll be able to explain it. He seems knowledgeable about that stuff. And
Brian of London on Hard Fork Day.
Fork Day.
That's exciting. Guys, have a great weekend. Be good to each other. Thank you for the questions once again. And enjoy your weekend. Toodles.
Ciao.